Hello students, we shall now start the third unit of the syllabus on electrical drives, in which we shall study mainly the induction motor drive, in which we shall first review the characteristics of induction motor, then the methods of braking, and then the methods of speed control, and few methods I will discuss in detail, that is stator voltage control, frequency control, pole changing method, and rotor resistance control. So these methods will be discussed in a little detail. So let us start with the characteristics of induction motor. First, you recall that there are two types of induction motor based on the construction of the rotor. We have a squirrel cage motor and wound rotor motor. In a squirrel cage motor, the rotor doesn't have proper winding. Instead, it has copper bars which are short circuited at the end by end rings. So it is permanently short circuited. You cannot manipulate the quantities on the rotor side. Whereas in the case of wound rotor motor, we have proper winding on the rotor side. Three-phase winding is there. Terminals are brought out through slip rings and brushes, and we can manipulate the quantities on the rotor side. We can insert resistance, we can insert some voltage there, we can short circuit it. So it is our choice. So we can manipulate the quantities on the rotor side also. Of course, wound rotor motor is costlier as compared to a squirrel cage motor, and it requires even more maintenance also. So usually we prefer a squirrel cage motor in most of the applications, but in some applications where high starting torque is required, we go for wound rotor type induction motor. Equivalent circuit of the induction motor is shown here. Here RS is the status winding resistance per phase, XS is the leakage reactance of status winding per phase, XM is the magnetizing reactance, RR dash is the rotor resistance referred to stator side or as seen from the stator side, XR dash is the rotor leakage reactance referred to the stator side, and here the term S stands for slip, and slip is defined as the difference between synchronous speed of the motor minus the actual speed of the motor divided by the synchronous speed. Where synchronous speed, if you recall, it is given by 120 F by P RPM, where F is the supply frequency and P is the number of poles. Multiplied by 2 by 60, it will convert it into radians per second, and this comes out to be 4 pi F upon P radians per second. This so this is the slip of the motor, and normally at starting you can say that the motor is at standstill, omega m is 0, slip is equal to 1, and as the motor rotates, starts running, at no load the speed of the motor is very close to synchronous speed, so slip is close to 0. In the normal running condition, at the full load condition, the value of slip is usually between 0.05, 0.06 or 0.07, like that, in that range. So induction motor is basically a constant speed motor. The drop in speed is only a few percent from no load to full load condition. So this is the definition of slip. Now let us see, this is the exact equivalent circuit, and here I will note the core loss resistance here, which of course is the current drawn here is very small as compared to magnetizing current, so that can be ignored. Now this is the exact circuit, and if we shift the shunt branch to the input terminals, in that case the circuit becomes like this. So this is approximate equivalent circuit. The difference between the two you can see here. The current here in the stator winding is shown as IS, which is IM plus IR dash, whereas in this case the current in RS is equal to RIR dash. This current you can show as IR dash, and this is the current IM, magnetizing current, and this is the source current IS. So you can see that there is some difference between these two, and this is actually approximate equivalent circuit, but it makes the analysis very easier. So for approximate analysis, we can use this approximate equivalent circuit. Now you can see here that what I have done here is that this RR dash upon S I have divided into two parts, RR dash and RR dash upon S minus RR dash. So there are two resistances here. I have split this RR dash upon S into two parts. So the combined value is same as RR dash upon S. So this has been done because of certain reason. I will explain it. If you see the power flow in this circuit, input power is input power P in, and a part of this is lost in the stator winding, and you can also eliminate the iron losses also. So remaining power is the power that flows from stator to rotor. That power is called air gap power. So this air gap power that reaches the rotor, a part of this power is converted into mechanical power, and the remaining power is lost in the rotor winding resistance or rotor conductor resistance. So this has been divided into two parts. So this RR dash shows the power loss in the rotor windings, and the remaining power is available at the output in the form of mechanical power. So this resistance, you can say that this RR dash 1 upon S minus 1 is actually the resistance across which the power will give you the value of mechanical power output or mechanical power delivered by the motor. So this means that if you want to know what is the mechanical power, you can find out the power across this resistance RR dash 1 upon S minus 1. So that is the significance of this resistance. Now if you want to know what is the air gap power, then you have to find out the power across this total resistance, that is equal to RR dash upon S. So in that way you can very easily do the analysis of this motor. In the case of exact circuit, this will be a bit more complex. So let us see how we can find out the various quantities here. For example, if you want to know what is the air gap power, you simply find out the power loss across the resistance RR dash upon S. So it is 3 times because this circuit is a per phase circuit. So the actual power will be 3 times this. So 3 into IR dash square into RR dash upon S. And if you put the value of IR dash, that is voltage upon this total impedance, so you will get V square upon RS plus RR dash upon S square plus XS plus XR dash square. So this gives you the air gap power, the value of air gap power. And if you want to know the mechanical power developed by the motor, you have to subtract from this power the power loss in the rotor circuit resistance, or you can find out the power across the resistance RR dash 1 upon S minus 1. So this what you have done here. So this comes out to be 3 into V square upon RS plus R dash upon S square plus XS plus XR dash square multiplied by RR dash 1 minus S upon S. So that is the mechanical power developed by the motor. And if you want to know what is the rotor copper loss, you can find out the power loss in the resistance RR dash. So it is simply 3 IR dash square into RR dash, and this you can see that it is equal to slip times air gap power. You can compare with this. So this power and this power are, so here it is, the factor is S here. So the rotor copper loss is slip times the air gap power. This means that if slip is equal to 1, that is when the rotor is stationary, standstill. In that case, the rotor copper loss is same as the air gap power. That is the whatever power reaches the rotor will be consumed in the form of heat in the rotor circuit resistance. And as the slip decreases, some power flows at the output in the form of mechanical power. And in the normal running condition, the rotor copper loss is small because slip is very close to 0. Similarly, if you want to know the mechanical power, you can use this expression also. Air gap power minus rotor copper loss. So Pg minus SPG, you can write it as 1 minus S times Pg. So this means that if you know the air gap power, you can find out rotor copper loss. You can find out the mechanical power by using these two expressions. Now let us come to the torque developed by the motor. It is of course the mechanical power developed divided by the angular speed in radians per second. So here you can write here mechanical power is 1 minus S times Pg divided by the motor speed. Motor speed can be related to the synchronous speed by this expression. Omega m is equal to omega ms 1 minus S, that is the synchronous speed multiplied by 1 minus the slip. So here this is omega ms 1 minus S. So this 1 minus S cancels out and you get Pg upon omega ms. This means that if you know the air gap power, you can find out torque by simply divided by a constant omega ms, that is synchronous speed in radians per second. So that will give you the torque of the motor, and if you put the values here, you will get the torque equal to 3 upon omega ms v square upon rs plus rr dash upon s square plus xs plus xr dash square multiplied by rr dash upon s. So this means that this Pg, the air gap power, is the key. If you know the air gap power, you can find out what is the rotor copper loss, you can find out what is the mechanical power developed, and you can find out what is the torque developed by the motor. Now knowing the torque, now you can plot the torque slip or torque speed characteristics of the motor. Just you have to put various values of slip here and you can find out the torque and you can plot the characteristics of the motor. So I shall discuss this just now. Now we can plot the speed versus torque characteristics of the motor by using the torque equation that we had derived just now. So this is a torque equation. So just put various values of slip and find the corresponding torque, and you can find different values and you can plot it and you will get a curve like this. So this is shown by blue color. So you can see that when the slip is equal to 0, that is when the speed is equal to synchronous speed, the torque comes out to be 0. So torque is equal to 0, and you know that whenever the motor speed is equal, rotor speed is equal to synchronous speed, in that case current is 0 and no torque is developed. So at no load, that is very close to synchronous speed, that is slip is equal to 0, both rotor current and the torque both are equal to 0. And as the speed decreases, or you can say that the slip increases, the value of you can say that torque increases like this, or you can say that as the torque increases, the speed of the motor decreases. So this characteristic is a looping characteristics, and this region of the characteristics we call as stable region, and the other region we call as unstable region. So the motor will operate stably in this region and unstably in this region in most of the cases, but in certain cases this region may also behave as a stable region, that we had seen in the unit number 1. So this means that as the motor is loaded, the torque increases and it reaches certain value that is known as Tmax, the maximum torque. So this is the maximum torque. Motor cannot produce more than this torque, and if the motor is loaded beyond this torque, the motor will come to a standing still. So this torque is also known as the breakdown torque of the motor. So motor can never produce a torque more than the breakdown torque. So you can see that As the motor is speed decreases, the torque increases, becomes maximum here, and then again it starts decreasing, and it is equal to this torque that we call it the starting torque. Or if you can say that when you start the motor, then this is starting torque, speed is 0. As the motor speed increases, the torque increases, becomes maximum here, equal to T max, and then when it starts decreasing, and depending on the load on the motor, for example, the load on the motor, so it is TL, the motor will operate at this operating point. So this is the operating point for this particular load torque. So when you start the motor, the starting torque which should be more than the load torque, so that the motor can accelerate. Motor accelerates, speed increases, it reaches here, still the torque is more than load torque, motor continues to accelerate, and finally it will settle to this operating point, and this is the corresponding speed you can show it here. On this side, this is the speed at which the motor will operate for this particular load torque. And as you increase the load on the motor, TL is increased, operating point shifts here, like that, and finally you can load up to a maximum of T max. Beyond that, the motor torque will never be able to meet the load demand, and it will come to standstill state. So as the motor is loaded, the speed will decrease slightly. It will reach a particular speed at which the torque is equal to maximum torque, and after that, if the load is increased beyond that, motor will not be able to sustain the operation and will come to standstill point. So what is the corresponding speed or corresponding slip at which the torque is maximum? You can say that here speed is synchronous speed, slip is equal to 0, and here speed is 0, slip is equal to 1. If you want to know what is the slip or the speed at which the torque is maximum, you can simply differentiate this equation with respect to slip S and put it equal to 0, and if you do so, you will get Sm equal to Rr dash upon Rs square plus Xs plus Xr dash square whole square root of this, and plus and minus, there are two possibilities, that is two values of slip for which the torque will be maximum. One will be positive, other will be negative, and negative I have not drawn here, it will be in the generating mode, in the braking mode. So this is the value of maximum slip, and if you put this value of maximum slip in the torque equation and do some simplification, you will get the equation T max is equal to 3 upon 2 omega ms V square upon Rs plus minus Rs square plus Xs plus Xr dash square root of this. So this is the value of or expression for the maximum torque. So these equations you already know, and you have studied in your previous course on electrical machines. Just it was a review of that those characteristics and equations, so that you can understand the speed control and braking operation of DC. So this will be discussed in the next lecture. Thank you.